it was horrific.
What happened to me?
Okay, sorry, I'm bringing this meeting to attention.
Mother's meeting.
Right, so we are talking about organising and directing a student's concert. So we have discussed how to prepare your students for solo concerts so that they play beautifully and do you proud. But there is obviously the whole other side of producing a concert, which, you know, in the big old world of professional musicians is an entire job in itself. So let's imagine you decide you've got your 12 students, you would like to put on a concert. It's going to be a combination of a couple of group items, everyone's going to do a solo. You may decide that you would like to play, you may have some friends that you would like to play with you as adults, but you know, basically you're going to put on a concert. So what is the checklist that you need to have in order to make sure that that all goes smoothly, and what kind of timelines do you think you should be working on?
Set a date early in advance.
Excellent. What would you say is a good amount of time in advance?
2 months.
2 months?
6 months.
6 months?
Depends on the venue, I suppose.
Does it depend on the venue? I mean, yes, it definitely does depend on the venue. Does it just depend on the venue?
No.
No. I think things like, if it's like the beginning of an academic year and like when they start and you're like, you know, we always aim for this like end of year concert, something like that, or like, so you can kind of say that to them like in September, or you know, it might be the beginning of the spring term and it might be like, we're going to work towards this concert and it's going to be like the first week after half term or something. I think it like depends what type of concert it is.
Definitely, yeah. So I think 2 months is minimum, even for a casual concert. Why? I mean, I might be able to go down the road to St Chad's and say, can I do a concert here next Saturday? And they'd probably say yes.
Everybody's got lives.
Location.
Location, I mean, yeah, probably if you want a really nice place, it will be booked out. But
We'll make sure
lots of places are not like regularly booked out. But think about,
holidays and
Kids
stuff.
are busy.
okay,
School
keep
trips,
thinking,
school
keep
trips.
thinking. If you
School
want
trips.
a concert with your students,
You want an audience.
You want to prepare them.
you want to prepare them, yes. So, no, we're not going to do a concert next week because the students are not prepared, yeah? So, absolutely, 2 months is probably, once you've got half terms or holidays and stuff, only roughly about going to end up really feeling like half a term. And 5 or 6 lessons to get, you know, a couple of group pieces and a solo ready with all your students is suddenly actually not very long. And you want them to be prepared ages in advance so they feel really confident and they have a great time. So just like we were talking about for the solo concerts, a whole part of organising your own concert is also making sure that it's organised and in the diary and you are aware of it and the parents are aware of it long enough before that by the time it rolls around, the kids are feeling on top of what they're going to do and also excited. That like the longer you have looking forward to it, like you were saying, Freya, the more you can kind of build that sense of like working towards it and it being a group kind of project. Yeah? So let's say aim for at least 3 months, and if you're setting it up as something that you want to repeat every year, then of course once you've done it once you want to book the next one, just like Suzuki in Schools concert or the Suzuki Hub Groups concert. Well, obviously COVID has messed all of those up, but you know, usually we do the concert and then the next week I say, right, can we have a similar date next year to the venue? And some big venues you have to book 2 or 3 years in advance. It's unlikely that you have to worry about those kind of venues for a while, but you know, it's possible. So you want to think in terms of what you're offering your studio, you want to have your yearly kind of shape in mind. Like we do a groups so for Suzuki Hub, for example, we do a groups concert in the summer term, we have graduation in the summer term, that takes care of the individual side of things. In the spring term they have solo concert week where everybody does a solo and the groups are already preparing for the groups concert in the summer. I'm going backwards, why am I doing that? In the autumn term we learn our stuff and we do not have a big concert. We are about to start having the orchestra and ensembles concert and teenage concerts in the autumn term. But generally, in my mind, the autumn term is a big, long chunk of just learning and getting on with it. And then after Christmas, they start to prepare for solo concert week, where everybody does a solo, usually in March. And then during group time, in the spring term, we're already thinking about what we're going to do in the summer term concert, because you do not want to wait until the end of the summer term, because that's when everyone is doing everything at school and, you know, guides and like everything, swimming galas and all the rest of it. So it's in the first half of the term, so they're already preparing for it in the spring term. Not so much the absolute tiny babies, but everyone else. And then graduation in the summer term is the thing that they're doing for kind of solo preparation. And then alongside that, we have busking, we have you know, individual concerts through the LSG that they can opt into if they want more performance opportunities. We have staff concerts which haven't yet been resurrected since COVID, and there will be, you know, individual teachers having individual things happening that their students can opt into. So there's two things. There's making sure you've got enough of a run-up to prepare your students, make sure that they can all come if they want to, give the parents enough time to organise themselves, and give you enough time to get the venue that you want. And there's also having a kind of place in it for the year, which might repeat every year or even every term. Good, what else do we need to do if we're going to... So we need to book a date. Done.
Book a venue.
Book a venue, excellent. What do you need from your venue?
Space and a piano.
You need to know what capacity you need.
If it's accessible.
Yeah.
What the health and safety risk assessment stuff is.
Yeah, exactly. All of that.
You need personal insurance.
Yeah, everybody who's a member of the British Suzuki Music Association has
Insurance.
5 million?
Public liability.
5 million public liability insurance. It's included. It's also included in an MU membership if you're a musicians union or ISM.
And ESTA as well.
Sorry?
So we're included in ESTA as well.
ESTA, yeah. I mean, basically all of the professional membership bodies include it. Yeah. And if you do hire a place with a piano, you want to go and play the piano. Don't just look at it and say, oh yes, there's a piano.
Make sure it opens.
Make sure it actually works. Then it's tuned to 440. All sorts of things that can go wrong with a piano. And I do think it's quite a good option to consider taking an electric piano with you rather than looking for a venue with a good piano. If you're looking for a venue with a really good piano, that suddenly increases the price a lot. Whereas either taking along a keyboard of your own or even hiring an electric piano or borrowing one makes it a lot more affordable. Okay, good. So we have a venue and we have, from the venue you need to know how many people you can see. If you've got 12 students, you're going to have about 30 people in the audience max. You do not want a venue that seats 400. Even though it might be lovely, it will feel awful because it will feel empty. Yeah, you want to choose something that is appropriate to the size of event that you're doing. And if you're doing a public event, then obviously you need to publicise it and get the audience in so that it doesn't feel like it's a kind of empty. Banjo, come here. Come on. Good girl. Sort of. Good. Okay, so we've got a date, we've got a venue. Accompanist. Very easy to forget to book far in advance and hard to get at the last minute if you want someone decent. Good, what else do you need to do?
You need to organise how much it's all going to cost.
Yes,
So
you need
that's
to
it.
do a budget, exactly. Budgets are something that lots of people are really scared of, but literally you can do a budget. The budget for Suzuki Hub to see whether it was going to be a viable business proposition was literally on the back of an envelope in my garden 12 years ago. You can do a very simple budget that tells you a lot of what you need to know. So get yourself a blank piece of paper, please. You're going to put on a concert with 12 students. Make a list of things you need to cost out. i.e. the things you're going to have to pay for. Yes, baby.
Is this things that anyone in general would need to think about, or is it all you thinking just for yourself?
Just this event, your students' concert with 12 students, what do you need to pay for? So you don't need to worry about insurance, we're assuming that you've got that in your...
What do you need to pay for, or what
What needs to go in your budget?
Is this assuming that you need to hire us a venue?
Yeah. Okay, Freya, give us one thing, please.
Venue hire.
Venue hire.
Transportation,
Who for?
piano.
Okay, if you're hiring a piano or borrowing a piano, you need to get it in and out. Yeah. Amy?
Refreshments.
Refreshments, very good. Kit?
How much are you going to charge each people?
Good, that's part of your budget, but what is another thing you're going to have to pay for? So we've got venue hire, transportation for a piano if you're going to need that, if it doesn't have a piano of its own, and refreshments. Who else will you need to pay?
The accompanist.
Well done. Ed, who else will you need to pay?
Staff and helpers, potentially.
Potentially staff and helpers. In this imagined idea where it's just your 12 students, do you think that you will have professional staff and helpers?
No.
You may,
Yeah,
you
no,
may.
sorry, I was thinking of 12 students, you might, yeah. Not with Stone.
Who should you definitely who should you definitely pay, Ed?
Ed, you said
Yes,
Ed.
who should you definitely
Yeah.
pay? Yes, exactly. You need to pay yourself.
That's why I was asking, is it cost, so, as a budget, what would it cost me, rather than what is the budget for this event? And as if you're producing an event, you count yourself for someone who comes in it. If you're saying, what's it going to cost me to put this on, that's a different matter.
Yeah.
So it's a question.
Yeah, no, we're not talking about something
Yeah.
you're paying to put on, we're talking about budgeting for an event,
Yeah.
of it in its own.
So staff and helpers, you are staff, so yes,
Yeah.
you're in it.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't think you'll need to pay your helpers. I think in any Suzuki programme, every teacher will have at least enough parents that can keep an eye on things, do tea and coffee, give out programmes if you have programmes. I don't think you need to worry about paying other people, but you should definitely, I am very keen on cultivating an environment where it is healthy to pay yourself for the work you do, because we are all professionals, and the idea that happens again and again and again in Suzuki that you do it for free is predicated partly on the idea that someone else is going to pay your bills. I don't know about you lot, but in my house I have to pay the bills, and so if I go to work and I don't get paid, that means it's got to be something that I really want to do. I loved kids' concerts, they're great, but why shouldn't I get paid for that? That is my career. If I want to go busking and raise money for charity, then of course I'm not going to take my hourly fee off the money we raise for charity, because I'm donating my time. But there is such a culture of just donating your time without even thinking about it. And it's the same as when someone does a workshop, they email you saying, would you like to come and teach in my workshop? And you're made to feel a little bit grubby if you actually ask how much you're going to get paid. It should not be that you even have to ask. It should be, are you free? This is the fee. Then you can say, yes, I'm free, but the fee's not high enough. Or no, I'm not free. I'd love to next time. Or sorry, count me out, I'm not interested. I think it's such an important thing that we are not made to feel like we should just endlessly donate our time, because we are not amateurs. Amateurs do it for the love of music, and we are professionals, and it should be the love of it as well as needing to get paid. Bex, anything else that you will need to pay for?
hiring an electric keyboard if you need to.
Good, so if you need to hire anything, a PA, maybe a microphone, probably not for your 12 students. I can't sit in a room about this size, but yeah, definitely any kind of tech. And the other thing that we have not priced yet, which is kind of optional, refreshments are optional. I guess you can ask people to bring them, but the other thing that...
Publicity.
Sorry?
Publicity.
Yeah, publicity and like a program. So whether you're going to print flyers, whether you're going to have a printed program, whether you're just going to ask the kids to announce what they're doing, whether you're going to project it onto the back of the wall, you know, there's all sorts of different options. Good. So then, how you would do this budget, which scares the life out of so many people, is you just add up all those costs and divide it by how many people are coming, and then you decide, okay, is this viable or not? If you found yourself a venue that's £2,500 and you've got 5 students, you're going to think, it's probably not going to happen when I say to them it's going to cost you £400 a ticket. But if you've got a venue that's 100 and you've got 30 students, you're going to pay your pianist 100, you're going to pay yourself 100, you know, and it ends up being 12 quid each. You kind of think, yeah, probably most people will be like, I'd like to come and do a concert for £12. And then the other decision is, are you going to price it according to how many people are involved? Like one kind of pricing structure that you can choose is it costs you this much to be in the concert, and then you can bring as many people as you want. If you have a large venue, that's a really great option because it means you know how many people are going to be in it, but you can still have a big audience without worrying about whether you're going to cover your costs or not. Or the other option is everybody takes part for free, but then you charge however much to come and watch in the audience. Which is a much less reliable in advance kind of, you know, like Granny and Grandpa may decide in the afternoon that they don't want to come after all, so then suddenly you're 20 quid down because they were going to pay a tenner each to come.
I don't understand the other options, sorry.
So if you say, okay, I'm not going to charge anything for tickets, but it costs you £15 to take part, that's going to get you a rehearsal and a concert and free snacks.
Right.
And then you say to everyone who says that they want to do it, so then you know way in advance, yes, I've got this many kids who are going to say, that means my budget is this much money, and that also means that you can look really generous by saying to all of the performers, you bring as many people as you want, or if you've got a small venue, you can bring up to 5 people, or you can bring 2 people, but it doesn't matter if they can't bring anyone. And if they can't bring anyone in terms of like safeguarding, you would have to say, can you get someone else to bring you? And that parent would have to understand that they are in loco parentis, that you're not looking after the child, unless you get a special, you know, unless you want to be in loco parentis for their children, which I wouldn't recommend. But it means that you can kind of control your budget a lot more, and also have a lot more of a kind of vibrant approach to how many people can come.
So do people pay for tickets in that scenario?
No. So you pay. So
Pay to play.
You say to them,
pay to play.
you say on top of your your invoice for the lessons, we're going to add, say, £25, which will cover the concerts, refreshments, or any extra rehearsals. So it's kind of packaged.
As many tickets as you want. Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
and then you can bring as many members of family or friends as you like.
And then the other thing that lots of teachers do, which I do also recommend, and it goes down very well mostly, is that you say, this is a 12-week term, one of the weeks is going to be a concert. And then, so that's what happens for solo concert week, for example. They pay the same amount as they usually pay for their group lessons, and then they come and do a concert and a rehearsal instead. And that means that you just put on their invoice, like as if it's 12 weeks like usual, but one of those weeks is a concert instead. If you're doing that for your own private studio, it can get a bit more tricky if you're doing one concert for all of your kids that come on different days, because what if they're not free? Whereas if you say, okay, my Thursday students, we're going to have a concert at Suzuki Hub, my Tuesday students, we're going to have a concert at the local church hall to where I teach on Tuesdays, whatever. But that can be a really good option as well, because it just means it's the same price and it covers your time, and it takes slightly less time possibly, and then the only actual real cost you have, you know, are your, like you earn a little bit less because it's taken less time, but then out of that money you pay the venue hire and the accompanist. Yeah. So let's say budgets, you've booked this, you've got this thing looking forward to, I would recommend that you sell access to it in advance, however you're doing the access, whether it's pay to play or whether it's tickets, that you know, Eventbrite is a very, very user-friendly way to sell tickets to any kind of event. And it's also free if you aren't charging, so you can put on there, for example, if you booked this room to do a solo concert on a Sunday, let's say, I've told you can fit 80 people in the audience and you've got 20 students, that probably will work out perfectly, but someone might decide that they want to bring 12 people and then suddenly you might run out of space, so you think, okay, so we're going to ticket it, and you can put it on Eventbrite and ask people to register their tickets for free, and then you don't pay any fees to Eventbrite, but you know how many people have booked, so that if it's looking full, you can, you know, manage it, and then you can just charge the students who are taking part through their invoice. Does that all make sense?
To manage the availability of the tickets.
Yeah.
So you can close it if it's getting a bit too congested.
Yeah, or, you know, if you've sold out 3 weeks in advance, you could look for a different venue at the same time in the same area and be like, I'm really pleased to tell you we've sold out this little room, so we're going upstairs to the big community hall. Yeah, something like that. Good, and then on the day, what do you need to do?
Get there early.
Hmm?
Get there early.
Get there early. Why do you need to get there early?
Make sure the room is ready.
Good.
Make sure they've got access to it and it's open.
Good.
Make sure it's clean.
Good. Mimi, some more things?
You need to make sure they've had a good warm up in the venue, maybe. Yeah, so you need to factor in a bit of rehearsal time for them.
Yeah, so either you rehearse in their private lessons and then you just do a warm up on the day, or you have rehearsal times throughout whatever time period you've got the venue for. But what else do you need to check in the venue?
That everything works. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. That the piano's unlocked. If you're
the lights, you know where the plug sockets are, you know where the toilets are, that you've got
exactly,
enough
that
chairs,
there's enough toilet paper in
organs,
toilets.
exactly, that there's soap.
Exactly. All of these like very kind of practical things.
Yeah.
You need to make sure that either you have helpers, making sure that random people don't come in, or that you are, I would recommend that you do have helpers, or at the very least that you are near the door so that you will be aware of anyone that you don't know comes in. You will need to organise your rehearsal schedule so that you know when people are expected to come. You'll need to know where the students are going to sit. What order are they going to sit in? Where, you know, if you've got a room like this, are you going to put the kids on the floor in the right order so that they can walk up? Are you going to put them on the chairs, and therefore you need to stop the audience taking those chairs because they need to know that the front 3 rows are performers' chairs. You know, all of that kind of practical stuff you need to know in advance, and you need to get there to mark up, these are the seats for this group, these are the seats for these students, what order is your performance going to be in. And of course, like, all of this is flexible. If you want a really informal concert, you can just have a bunch of kids in a room with their parents and say, okay, who wants to play next? Like, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not going to feel slick like the solo concerts do here, or like the groups concert at Shoreditch Town Hall does. If you're going to put on a really big concert, you need to decide which side are people going to walk on from. Are you going to have a one-way system so people don't bump into each other as they go on and come off? How, you know, look at your programme and make sure that you don't have 2 pieces that are the same near each other in the repertoire. Are you going to have a play together? If you are going to have a play together, you may want to photocopy the piano parts for the pianist and put them in a separate file so that they just turn the page and play what's there, because most accompanists don't know the repertoire well enough to be like quickly going between them. And you know, we've got on the desk, we've got all of the piano parts in just loose leaf folders, so that every year I just take them and put them in order. And I can't tell you how many big Suzuki concerts I've been to where the leader just starts a piece of the play together and the pianist is like just basking something while they're trying to find what piece it is, because it's often in different keys, different instruments, different books, all over the place. So all of these sort of considerations in advance really pay off on the day. And you need to know who you're going to say thank you to at the end of the concert. And I do highly recommend that you finish with music. So if you've got a little speech, thank you to the parent helpers, thank you to the accompanist, thank you to myself for being so awesome, all of those little things, do it before the last piece. And then you can get to the end and just, hooray, everyone had a lovely concert and goodbye. I personally feel it's very, I don't like to listen to someone rambling on through all of their thank yous after the last piece. I'm ready to go home then. Whereas just before the last piece is kind of a nice moment. Yeah. Any questions? Good. Great. So, who's doing what now?
I'm teaching.
You're teaching. I'm going to come and watch you.